Hello, everybody. Happy Halloween. Okay, so maybe today isn't actually Halloween, but we're certainly in Halloween season now. And if you're wondering about Halloween, maybe you've probably heard of Halloween, right? It's a big holiday in America. Not like a big official, holiday where people get the day off. Not a government holiday, but more of a cultural holiday. But it's a big one. It's important, and Americans love Halloween. That's what we're going to talk about today. There's a lot more to Halloween than just wearing costumes. You probably know about that. We're going to talk about all the things associated with Halloween. Thank you for joining. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel and also hit the like button. I know you're going to like this video. Okay, let's welcome Leon. How are you?
Good, Ben. How's it going, man?
Great. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, everyone, what's up?
Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining. And once again, happy autumn, happy Halloween season. Let's talk about Halloween, Leon. It's a holiday that Americans love. I really don't know many people who don't love Halloween.
Oh my gosh, Halloween is one of the biggest thing in the United States. They really go off the wall, like literally decorate. It's like a competition in the houses, inside the house, parties too, especially for kids. I mean, it's a big thing. You go to schools, public schools, private schools. They have a lot of decorations, a lot of activities. Yeah, I mean, it's a big celebration for us Americans. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. It's a celebration of the fall season as well. I love the decor and just how places are decorated. If you live in a part of the U.S. where the weather is cooler and there's fall foliage and the change of seasons, then of course the natural landscape is going to be really beautiful, like in the Northeast, or maybe even like in the mountain states like Colorado. Okay, it's going to be beautiful. But that aside, we also are really into certain activities that are typically associated with Halloween, right? Like pumpkin carving. We love to carve a pumpkin, and when we say carve a pumpkin, we mean sort of decorating a pumpkin by cutting it up, cutting a pumpkin so that you can, it reveals sort of eyes and nose or whatever, and then we put a candle in there. So pumpkin carving. Are you into that, Leon?
I did it one time as a kid, and
Yeah.
I did it all by myself, and I didn't know how much extensive work and how much I had to put in to
Hmm.
decorate that and to
Yeah.
carve it. It was crazy. After that experience, I never did it again. I don't know. Have you ever carved a pumpkin? Because it's not as fun as you thought it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, I have, and yes, a carved pumpkin looks very cute and it's very charming. It's cute and fun looking, but when you actually do it, it's actually quite difficult because it's not that easy to cut into a pumpkin, right? Because this is a
Hmm.
gourd. It's very hard skin and flesh. It's kind of, honestly, I don't know how kids do it because it's actually really hard to cut into a pumpkin, right?
Yeah, yeah, and when you cut a pumpkin, there's actually seeds there, and
Oh,
there's like,
that's right.
you
Yes.
know, fruit, or I mean, you have to take all that out, and that means you got to scoop everything, and that's the hard part, scooping things out. That's gonna take the time. I mean, carving it is one thing, but taking all that, food or that thing in the inside, whatever you want to call it, the seeds, the
The
meat, or the
brains.
yeah, exactly, it's a lot. And that's one thing,
Yes.
through my experience, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And ever since then, I never carved me a pumpkin after that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's hard work. Typically,
Yeah.
what people do is they take a marker and they sort of draw the eyes, the mouth, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever first, and then
Mm-hmm.
that way they know where to, shove in the knife and start actually carving. But anyway, it's not
Mm-hmm.
easy. I would
Mm-hmm.
imagine. I would imagine kids probably do the drawing part, and then their parents will actually do the knife work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the United States, pumpkin, I mean, it's easy to kind of harvest and, grow those pumpkins in United States. And, if you look at the originality of it, people used to carve turnips instead of pumpkins. I mean, pumpkins
Oh,
got
did
it, it
they?
moved to pumpkins because in the United States, because it was easier to to get and easier to carve than turnips, I guess. But Can you imagine like doing that in the old days where you had turnips?
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
But I
Uh-huh.
know that Americans definitely love pumpkins. And well, a pumpkin.
Hmm.
Listen, a jack o' lantern is a carved pumpkin. That's what we call excuse
Hmm.
me. We call a carved pumpkin for Halloween. We call it a
Hmm.
jack o' lantern. And why is it
Yeah.
called a jack o' lantern? I don't know the jack part, but the lantern part is because typically you'll put a candle or something inside the pumpkin and it lights up, and then you can see into it through the eyes that you've cut out in the mouth and all that. And people like to
Hmm.
put it right outside their house, or excuse me, right outside their front door on their porch or
Hmm.
something. It's very,
Hmm.
very Halloween and very typical American decor for Halloween.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Halloween started by the Irish and the Scottish. I mean, this is kind of their kind of maybe tradition. Then we just kind of expanded it in the United States. And you talked
Mm.
about jack-o'-lanterns. I mean, during the Irish folklore, I mean, people used to carve faces like skulls to scare evil spirits. And yeah, they actually carved skulls. They actually had skulls instead
Oh
of
wow.
pumpkins. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. They actually were human skulls when instead of the jack-o'-lanterns or the pumpkins. Yeah.
Wait, they took human skulls and did what to
Yeah.
put a candle inside of it?
Yeah, they put candles
Wow.
inside of it, or I don't know, they would carve the face. I don't know how they would carve the face, but yeah, it would be a skull, put candles there. Um, yeah, this was like one of the first jack-o'-lanterns was
Oh,
were human
interesting.
skulls. Yeah.
Interesting. I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah. Then I guess they switched to turnips, and then from turnips, when they went to United States, then we got into the pumpkin because there's plentiful of pumpkins in United States, easy to grow, to harvest, and yeah. So
Hmm. And now we're totally obsessed with pumpkins. We love,
yeah.
pumpkin carving. Yes, that's a thing. The Halloween decor part of pumpkins are very cool, very fun. But also,
Hmm.
we like to eat pumpkins in terms of like maybe roasting them, right? Roasting
Hmm.
pumpkins, or maybe pumpkin flavored stuff like pastries,
Hmm.
cakes, Starbucks coffee drinks, lattes,
Hmm.
pumpkin flavored, everything pumpkin.
Yeah, everything pumpkin is big, especially in October. I mean, that's the
Yes.
thing. I mean, like you mentioned, Starbucks with the latte and all kinds of Halloween or pumpkin spice and pumpkin pie and yeah, all of that stuff. I mean, everything is pumpkin. I mean, it's great if you're like into pumpkin. For me, I prefer just the pumpkin seed. That's what I like. Some of the pumpkin is good, like pumpkin pie is good too. So yeah, latte is also good. Again, you just have to get used to that kind of flavor and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yes, I like it very much. I think
Mhm.
that I don't know. Actually, I can't tell you what is the flavor of pumpkin, but I feel like anything pumpkin flavored is just kind of this flavor of like cinnamon and nutmeg and those kind of warm autumnal flavors that we tend to associate with fall,
Mhm.
right? And I think I really couldn't tell you what is really a pumpkin flavor. What is the flavor of a pumpkin, But I can tell you that when it finds its way into things like drinks and food, it tends to just have a warm,
Mhm.
sort of mildly spicy, maybe warm, nutty flavor. And it's very
Mhm.
nice.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, I think the closest for me, if I was to describe the taste, I would say like a squash. Like
Uh-huh.
if you had a squash that kind of resembles the pumpkin, but the pumpkin is a little more sweeter. It has a
Oh,
more
yeah, of course, there's the
flavor taste
sweetness.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
but
the
yeah,
sweetness.
yeah, like you said, we put a lot of cinnamon on it, cinnamon and spices, and yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what else do we do for well, of course, we do trick or treating, right? That's the whole purpose. Not the whole purpose. That one of the purposes of dressing up, wearing a costume, is for kids to go trick or treating. So trick or treating, I don't know the history of it, but I can tell you what we do. So what kids do is they go from house to house in their neighborhood, dressed up in their costumes. They're carrying, um, I don't know, like and maybe a jack o' lantern, which is like maybe a plastic one or something, which functions as like a bucket, right? And so you go and
Hmm.
you knock on your neighbor's door and you say trick or treat. That's what you say. And
Hmm.
they give you candy, and you just go from door to door, house to house, like this, and
Hmm.
kids love it. We That's what we do. That's what we
Yeah,
do for Halloween.
yeah, I mean, we take kids. If you have kids, they're all dressed and on costumes, and the beauty of it is like you see these little babies, like literally like 1 month, 2 months, and they're in costumes, and I think it's very cute. And then you see like the ones with like more of the toddlers too, like maybe 2 year old, 3 year old. It's very cute. And then you see the parents, and they're dressed up too because they're taking their kids trick or treating. They figure I'm gonna get into the act and get my own costume and kind of enjoy it too. And then you see like neighbors talking to other neighbors because they know each other, or strangers talking to strangers. Oh, wow, hey, I like that costume. That's really cute. Take pictures. This is a kind of a social gathering, I mean, in Halloween. So it's a fun experience and an event. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. We have like
and
a
trick or
family
uh
costume too, right?
yeah.
Family. Yeah.
And trick or treating actually, if you look back in the tradition, dates back to like the medieval times, right? And what they do is they practice the thing called souling. And apparently, this is like the poor would go door to door during Halloween, offering their prayers to the dead in exchange for food. So this is how it all kind of started in terms of the trick or treat. Yeah, basically it's for the poor. They need food, so prayers for the dead in exchange for food. This is what they were doing back then. Yeah.
That is fascinating. I had no idea that's how it originated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of the medieval, I guess, during the UK, I guess the Irish, Scottish in that area. So the Celtic tradition kind of thing. So yeah, I think the first Halloween happened in Anoka, Minnesota. I don't remember what year it was, but I think the first Halloween, the trick or treating happened in Anoka, Minnesota. And I guess that's because there's also a lot of Europeans back then at that place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, and which type of like kids love to wear scary costumes like ghosts and goblins, or sometimes
Hmm.
um movie characters, right? Because there's a lot of
Hmm.
horror movies.
Hmm.
One movie costume that people love to wear. This is very iconic American because this is one of these iconic American horror movies. Is Halloween? There's a movie called Halloween. Not just a movie, actually. They've
Hmm.
made like probably 10 or so many
Yeah.
sequels, right? Um,
Hmm.
Really, the first one is really the only one. The other one's really not that good. But let's say the first one, maybe the second one. Anyway, it's an old movie. It dates back to sometime in the 70s, I think, right? Early 70s.
Yeah, probably like late 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
yeah, I would say, yeah, probably you're right. Maybe like mid 70s or late 70s. Yeah.
yeah. With the actress Jamie Lee Curtis.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's the movie that actually made her famous.
Hmm.
But anyway, so that's a famous movie. It's an old movie. People love watching it. No matter how old you are, you've probably seen Halloween because it's sort of like this timeless classic. Okay, it's one of those
Hmm.
things that people watch during Halloween season. That and
Hmm.
also one of the Charlie Brown Halloween, uh,
Hmm.
cartoon. Anyway,
Hmm.
so the characters, well, excuse me, one of the characters, a killer, the main character, the killer, he has a mask, and that mask, his name is Michael Myers, and that costume of him has become kind of popular for Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like the icon of Halloween. Yeah. Especially for young people or eight of all ages, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we'd like to do: dress up as movie uh, killers, monsters, things like that. Very, very common, very popular.
Hmm. Yeah, people would just buy a mask and then they'd have their own clothes and then maybe like buy some fake blood and maybe get an axe or a big machete or a big knife or yeah, they would just go out there and scare little kids. I mean, this is the beauty of also Halloween. You see a lot of the teenagers and the adults. They're trying to scare each other or trying to scare the little kids, and you see like 8 years old, 9 years old, or even 6 years old, they're like scared of the costume. And adults and teenagers enjoy this, scaring little kids, making them cry. that's what Halloween is all about. It's about scaring people. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun. It's fun. It's like fun. It's not. I mean, we also like haunted houses, don't we? I love
Hmm.
haunted houses. I think
Yeah.
they're really fun, especially the ones that are set up. You know, like at Not Scary Farm, right? They
Ah,
can.
yes.
Oh,
Hmm.
I missed that actually. I have to say that's something that is really not just for kids. Adults
Hmm.
love Not Scary Farm. So let's tell people what is Not Scary Farm.
Yeah, I mean, not Scary Farm. The majority that really goes there are the teenagers. I mean, they pretty much dominate Not Scary Farm. So Not Scary Farm is like an amusement park in Bueno Park, and basically, they close the park. They're open during the daytime, but usually they close it like I think 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. And then this opens again till nighttime, maybe 3 a.m. or something like that. And what they do is they convert it into like scary things like ghosts, goblins, uh, werewolves, all of that stuff. And they dim the light, so it's not as I guess bright as it would be in a normal uh, evening time at Knott's Berry Farm. But during the night scary farm, they dim the lights. They have a lot of decorations of Halloween, and people are jumping. You go to the ride, and they actually have live actors or employees come with costumes, and they try to scare you, and there's people there walking around in costumes, and they would scare people, yeah, surprisingly. And that's what a lot of people enjoy, especially you see a lot of the women, the girls. They're always the one screaming and yelling, but there's a lot of guys too that ends up freaked out because these people are popping up from nowhere. Yeah, it's a very fun event. It's a very fun ride. I think the at that time the price was probably over $100 just for entrance. Yeah, but it sells out really fast. Yeah.
So basically, Knott's Scary Farm is kind of like the local version of Disneyland, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like as you described, they just convert it into a Halloween themed amusement park. So whatever ride, whatever they do normally, they just convert it. They just make it into a scary themed version of that thing, and so it is very fun, and it's fun to see the hired people, the actors or whatever. They just jump out of, let's say, bushes or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
they are in like a dark corner somewhere, and then they suddenly just come out and startle you. And yeah, a lot of they like to they like to do that to girls because they're the ones that scream, right, very
Mm-hmm.
loudly. And it's fun. It is very fun. And then the rides turn into Halloween themed rides,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's very fun. I have to say, I would go back. I would go back.
Yeah, I would too, but I don't think I've ever went back as an adult. I mean, in my younger years, I would go there, I would enjoy it, but as an adult, I never went because mostly it was like a young crowd, teenagers, and if you have children or kids, you don't want to bring them, especially if they're like, 8 years old, 9 years old. So, but there are some kids there, like maybe 11, 13 years old with their parents or guardians, or they would like moms or maybe some parents would go there and bring kids to experience it. It's a fun experience. I mean, uh, going to the rides, the food, even the foods are decorated in Halloween. Um, yeah, it's pretty good experience. I mean, if you ever experience that, if you're ever in LA during Halloween time, you definitely have to go to uh, not Scary Farm. Yeah. Another thing too is Magic Castle. Magic Castle is a place. It's like kind of a castle. It's a mansion in Hollywood, and it's famous for magicians. Um, you have to only have an invite, which means that you only can go there if you have an invitation. For you to get an invitation, you need a magician to give you these invites, like cards, and you present it to get in. And they have dinners, and during the Halloween, they convert that, you know, Magic Castle into a kind of like a Not Scary Farm, like a Halloween theme. Yeah, people would go there in costumes. It's pretty nice, and they would do magic tricks for you. Everything there, every room is in magic, so it's a pretty nice experience. I don't know. Have you been to Magic Castle before, or Halloween, Ben?
No, I actually have never been to the Magic Castle, but I've heard many things about it, and I would like to go. Yes, it's a private club essentially, right?
Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in Hollywood.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would
You
love
know,
to
and
do
some
that.
yeah, in some places like in Pasadena, I forgot maybe some parts in the valley, they would convert some houses or even their neighbors, and they would partner up about creating a haunted house in their garage, and you actually would go in, and people, volunteers, would try and scare people that would go in, and it's pretty fun. I think there's some famous one in Pasadena that some of my friends went to. I never went to it, but they've experienced that, and it's pretty popular in Pasadena. I just don't know what part of Pasadena, what neighborhood it is, but yeah.
So basically, Americans are very into haunted houses for Halloween.
Hmm.
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
that. Haunted
Hmm.
mazes, like you said, you can walk through and people can scare you, but it's mostly about startling you, right? Because they're jumping out of stuff. But it's just fun because it's dark, or there are interesting lights and
Hmm.
spooky sounds and
Hmm.
maybe fog. It's
Hmm.
also real. It's very fun.
And
It's
and bit uh-huh. Well, go
no, no,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'll just say, believe it or not, there's also people that goes to cemeteries during Halloween and
Oh, I've
celebrate and
done
do
that.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never done that. Yeah.
yeah, I've done that. Nothing
What was
happened.
it like? Yeah. Oh, nothing happened. What did you do? Was
Nothing.
it a lot of people? Do you guys kind of camp out a little bit, or what do you guys do in the cemetery? Because I've never experienced that.
Well, no, it was just three of us, and we were at a cemetery. This was a good cemetery. Well, it was a good one in that we were in where was this? I think it was I think it was Hudson River Valley, New York. So
Mm,
very
nice.
nice autumnal scene. I think it might have been Rhinebeck actually.
Hmm.
And there was a cemetery nearby where we were staying, and I went there for we went there for Halloween. Not the whole night, but just we did go there that night, and yeah, it was cool. I mean, I'm not afraid of cemeteries. I know some people are very afraid of cemeteries, is where all the dead people are, but I have zero fear of cemeteries.
Mm. Yeah, I don't like cemeteries. I'm one of those people. I don't like going to
Ah,
cemeteries. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I actually, when I visit New England towns, Um, I like to visit cemeteries because I find that the cemeteries in New England, the northeastern corner of the U.S., are beautiful, very
Mm,
beautiful,
hmm.
especially in the autumn. I mean, it's so beautiful. I would love
Hmm.
to just sit there, read, write. I mean, if I was a painter, I would, I would do
Hmm.
that as well. I just
Mm,
love old cemeteries. I don't know why they
mm.
seem very peaceful.
That's more creepier. I mean, the East Coast, because there's more,
They are creepier,
the,
yes.
the historical, the tradition, and
The
the
tombstones,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I'd be scared going there. I mean,
really.
especially at night. Yeah, maybe daytime
Oh, how
if somebody
fun.
died, okay, I can do that. But
Yeah.
that's like my last bucket list. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that,
Really?
especially at night. Forget about it. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to do it at night. Are you kidding? It's so fun. And yeah, you're right. The tombstone. So the tombstones are very like exaggerated. It's kind of like almost like Halloween decor. Like they have
Hmm.
moss or lichen growing over them. They look old, maybe a little weathered. The stone, right? And so they
Hmm.
literally look like a Halloween scene, but it's real. And then you have these old trees, and maybe they're a little gnarled, and it's just so cool. I love it. Plus the
Hmm.
change, the changing of the leaves, the fall colors.
Hmm. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so all of it to me is very beautiful, and I'm not afraid at all. Maybe we can go and do a Ouija board thing there.
Oh yeah. You can count me out. I mean, you can tell me about it later and all that,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's
I can't do
definitely
it
not going to
without
be that.
you.
No, you
No,
can
that's a
get some of
no.
your friends, the Native American friends there. You guys experience
Okay,
it and tell me all about it. Yeah,
okay.
but I'm not gonna be there. Yeah. After that experience with the Ouija board, yeah, forget about it. I don't even
Okay,
wanna touch
you don't.
it, or I can see it, I can walk by it, but I'm like, try to keep away from it, especially if I see a Ouija board in a Walmart or
Hmm.
one of those, department
Okay.
stores. I just walk really fast from that aisle. Yeah, but
Okay.
to
Okay.
touch it, I don't even want to touch it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So no
Yeah.
cemetery. No cemeteries. Now, do where would you like to go for Halloween if not a cemetery? How about like a haunted maze? Well, we talked about that, but they have these
Hmm.
haunted in certain parts of the country. They have these corn mazes. Not
Mm.
not so much in LA, but I
Hmm.
think in the Midwest they have a lot, right? Because there's a lot more
Hmm.
cornfields and farms, right?
Yes.
But so let's talk about. Can you tell people what are these haunted corn mazes?
These corn mazes is like a bunch of crops, and they maybe do some kind of maze. And in this maze, they probably would have, same thing like in LA, like these conversion of these garages. Like you go through the thing with decorations and people popping up. These props or these mazes in Midwest, I think it's kind of similar. They probably do this maze that you go through and people are decorated in Halloween. They probably pop out. Or sometimes, you just got to try and find a way to get out because, these crops are like I don't know how many, what the maybe like the size of a football field or 50 yards of a football field. So imagine that, and then you got to try and find a way out because they have these mazes. And sometimes you go to a maze, maybe it's a dead end, and guess what? There's something there or someone like in costume waiting for you to scare you or something like that. Yeah. I think this is I've never experienced it, but I think this is what these mazes are. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, what is your take? What is your experience? What did you see about it?
Yeah, so I think that's your description is right. It's just these cornfields that they become a maze, right? Because you think about how
Hmm.
cornfields, the plant grows up kind of the stalks, is that what they call corn stalks? They grow up kind of tall, and so you can kind of get lost. It becomes a maze. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so they have people, sort of set up there just to wait for you to freak you out or whatever. And in places where there aren't actual corn mazes or corn fields, they'll just set up something like that resembles that. And I wonder if this whole haunted corn maze comes from this movie. Have you heard of this movie Children of the Corn?
Oh yeah. I think I watched that. I think I watched that, but that was a long time ago. Yeah. I didn't like that. I don't like scary movies, as I told you, but I think I watched it with friends because they love watching horror movies and scary movies, and I ended up watching that. I didn't like it too much. Yeah. Did you see that movie? Did you watch it?
I did. Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. Did you find it to be very scary? Children of the Corn, guys. Google it, watch it. Children of the Corn. It's like classic American horror movie.
Hmm. I find it a little scary. For me, at the end was more scarier, but throughout the movie, I didn't think it was as scary as much. But the ending part, the end part, I didn't like that. But for me, I didn't. It was just scary for me. Yeah.
I don't remember what was the ending. Do you remember?
It was just a bunch of kids, and I don't remember too much of it, but these kids from the corn, children of the corn, they did something. I don't remember what it was, but just the way they did things and the way they talked and just the
Uh,
acting, it just freaks me out. Yeah.
so okay, I think this is the premise. Okay, if I remember correctly, it's a small town, and
Hmm.
it's run by kids. But as the movie starts, you don't really realize this, right? So
Hmm.
these kids, I think they're possessed or something, and they
Hmm.
sort of inhabit or run around in these cornfields. And what they do is I think they take adults and they sacrifice them. I think I'm not positive.
Hmm.
They do something to
Yes.
the adults, and it has to do with dragging them into the cornfields.
Yes.
And obviously, the adults are killed, and I think it has something to do with them wanting to preserve a society that is run by children and to preserve their innocence or something like that. And
Mm.
I think it is kind of creepy. It's supernatural. It involves killing, and
Hmm.
it's very interesting. And I think that it's a movie I think from the '70s, and of course our horror movies these days are much different. What scares us, but if you can imagine back in the '70s, this was a genuinely horrifying movie, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And
I mean,
even the
they're kind
premise
of like
today
rituals.
seems cool.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think the movies back then and compare now, I mean, what do you find it more scary? I mean, the movies back then or the movies now? I don't watch scary movies, so I really can't do a comparison. But do you find those scary movies more scarier back then or do you feel it more scarier now?
I don't find I don't find scary movies to be scary anymore because I think I've watched so many scary movies.
Uh-huh.
So I think that you can be startled, okay,
Hmm.
and they could try to build up the suspense that way, and then you're startled, right? You're startled by
Hmm.
something jumping out. You're startled by some sounds, but
Hmm.
or there's another kind of scary where it kind of just um the fright is sort of implanted in you, and it sort of slowly grows and grows and grows, and then even after the movie you're left kind of with this uneasy feeling, and then
Hmm.
days into it you are still feeling like, oh man, that was weird. I think that those kind of scary movies are much scarier, and I like those kind of movies, the kind of movies where you're like, oh my god, could it happen, and could it happen to me, because there's a certain realism to it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
like the psychological horror movies, I guess, is maybe what we
Mm.
should say. Yes.
Yeah, for me, because the reason when I don't watch scary movies, and also one of the I guess one of the person mentioned that she actually does ghost hunting, and I think it's part of her job about kind of communication with the dead and things like that. And I asked her a question, and I said, "Does watching scary movies bring you bad vibes or bad energy, or maybe bring you, ghosts or spirits, something bad in your house or in your presence or something?" And she says, "Yeah, believe it or not, it can happen, and these bad spirits can actually literally come from the television." To get into your space. So, which clarifies to me, that's why I don't watch scary movies. When she told me this, I kind of had this hunch. I wasn't sure if this was accurate or not, but her telling me this kind of reaffirms that what my belief was, that this actually happened. So, and that's why I don't watch scary movies. Yeah. Doesn't mean
Uh,
that doesn't mean that you're gonna get a bad energy or a bad vibe, but if you're
sure.
in a bad luck or something like that, it can happen. Yeah. I don't want to take that chance. Yeah.
I feel like we definitely need to do a podcast just on scary movies.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be good. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd be much help because I don't watch too many scary movies. I mean, I've watched some older movies like Annabelle Horror,
Oh yeah, I
The
love
House of
that.
Annabelle Horror. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was scary because that's based on a true story. Poltergeist is also another scary movie. That was
Oh,
also
that
based on a
freaked me
true
out when I was
story.
a
Yeah,
kid. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, hmm,
So,
yeah,
okay, we're going to talk more about scary movies, but in another podcast. So stay
yes.
tuned. So
Hmm.
what else about Halloween? I guess let's talk briefly about Halloween decorations. It's very common for American households to have Halloween decorations in either in front of their house, but certainly inside their house. So, like in front, like we had said, you'll see a
Hmm.
jack-o'-lantern right outside, right? A carved pumpkin right outside. You might see like some people, if they have a front yard with a lawn, they might put like fake tombstones. They might
Hmm.
put fake skeletons out, big spider webs, big spiders. If you guys don't know, there are certain things, or there's certain imagery that is very much associated with Halloween, like ghosts, goblins, that kind of stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
Pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns. What else? Witch. What else?
Yeah, which
Witches. Yeah.
anything like ghouls and goblins and
Uh-huh.
skeletons and
Spiders.
uh
Big
yeah,
spiders.
spiders,
Yeah.
webs, yeah, all of that stuff. I remember in my house I had a Halloween, I bought one of these really like the Green Reaper
Uh-huh.
and I put it right on the door because it's like you stick it to the door. I didn't get many people coming to my door to get trick or treat, especially the little kids, like, if they're toddlers or something, they would just freak out because at nighttime it almost looks real, right? So I hardly had anybody come to my door and did trick or treat. I think the only ones that I had were teenagers, like more of the 18, maybe 17-year-old, 16, they came to my house and did trick or treating, and they would all say, "Wow, that's a cool, poster or something like that." But the little ones, like 10-year-old, 11 or below, I never had anyone come trick or treat in my house. Yeah.
And did you like trick or treating as a kid?
I did a couple times. I went to the place. This is something that you have to be careful because that's what a lot of parents are doing now, is that when you go trick or treating, the candies that you receive, there are a lot of sickos Americans out there, and they'll put things inside the candy. Like, for example, staples or something, a nail, something, some sharp object like a metal piece. Sometimes they may, put some kind of uh, liquid that will have you uncontrollable diarrhea. So you got to be careful. I did have this encounter when I was a teenager, and we started opening some of the candies, and I found like staples in there and some sharp objects. It just depends. We couldn't determine which house, but you kind of get an idea because when you go trick or treating, sometimes the people who opens the house, they look shady. So those are the ones you got to be careful of. Yeah, I kind of like trick or treating when I was a teenager, but that was it. I like it more when I was an adult with, having kids. I kind of enjoy that more. You just kind of watch them go trick or treating and watch these little kids. But as me personally going trick or treating, I didn't enjoy it as much. Yeah. What about you?
I did like going trick or treating, and you mentioned something that is a very real thing. Yeah, people do mess with the candies. I mean, they could even lace it with drugs or whatever, right?
Yes,
In fact,
that's correct.
that's how they smuggle a lot of drugs into our country is by making
hmm
it look like candy, right? That
Yes.
you've heard all the news about how fentanyl comes into this country disguised as
hmm
like nerds
Yes.
or Sour Patch Kids and things like that.
Yes. Yeah.
By the
hmm
way, these are names of some popular candies in the U.S. Nerds, Sour Patch Kids. Anyway, so
hmm
when I went trick or treating, I just remembered like my mom's like, it's better not to eat this kind of candy. So
hmm
she would be like, here, let me give you some other kind of candy to eat. This
Yeah.
is just for fun. These are sort of props, right? This is just fun for trick or treating. They're not really for eating.
hmm
So that's
hmm
how it was explained to me, for
hmm
safety reasons. Because yeah, like you said, people will put needles and crazy things in candy.
hmm
But nonetheless, I think that it is fun to do. And but if you just want to be extra safe, just don't eat the candy that you actually get.
Yeah, sometimes I mean you look at the candy like the wrapper. I mean, if it's like sealed wrapper, okay, you can assume that that's safe. But if there's something that you can, open yourself and close it back yourself, those are the shady ones, and you just toss them out. Yeah. But the one that's sealed, those are the maybe safe candies that you can eat. And then also the decorations. I mean, these are like over the top kind of decoration. Imagine if you ever watched Home Alone, right? That's a very
Mhm.
popular old movie about Christmas. Now convert that Home Alone into Halloween. That's how extreme a lot of Americans and a lot of Americans, they wait for this Halloween, this one-time event. They don't wait for Thanksgiving or Christmas. These individuals literally wait for Halloween and they go off the board. I mean, they're like what you mentioned earlier. They have tombstone graves and things like that, and some people's shadows, like if there was a skeleton waving in the window, or maybe a Grim Reaper there, like standing on the window. I mean, they do all kinds of decorations, not just outside but inside. Sometimes they feel like it's a competition among their neighbors too. That happens, and then you see things with fog machines there, the lights flickering. I mean, it's insane. I mean, I think a lot of people would actually go to a certain neighborhood, and it's very popular. I think Pasadena, for some reason, Pasadena tends to get a lot of that noticeable things like Halloween. Uh, what is it? The Christmas lights, and yeah, so they're very popular for that. Yeah, and let me see what else is there. I mean, as
Yeah, you're
far
right.
as yeah, as far as
Pasadena, yes, for sure. San Marino,
mhm,
yes. Parts of like Pacific Palisades, yes, because these are places that are wealthy and also
mhm,
they're very family oriented.
And it's an older city too, right? Pasadena is a very old city. San Marino's old city, so they have kind of built that tradition, kind of neighborhood of competition among who has the best scary house or has the best Christmas lights, etc. Yeah,
Yep, exactly. It's very like a neighborhood, very neighborhoody
yeah,
and very
yeah.
family oriented. So those
Mm,
those type of areas tend to be very much into Halloween.
mm. And one thing I didn't notice too, the haunted house is considered to be haunted, right? The White House, where the President of the United States go sleeps, and
Oh,
that White House is actually haunted from
really?
many people. Yeah, from many people. There numerous reports that Abraham Lincoln's ghost is there, spotted
Really?
there, especially during Halloween. So that go figure. I didn't know this, but that's pretty interesting thing. Yeah.
So, these haunted houses, we always say, "Oh, a house is haunted," because we're thinking that it's something that's bad. But not all haunted houses are like haunted by evil ghosts, right? I mean, sometimes they're just
Yeah.
helpful, maybe.
I don't know, but to me, if it's haunted, it's I don't know if it's a good spirit or a bad spirit, but I'm always looking that haunted is haunted, and majority of it is evil. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
is.
mean, I don't know if you heard this too. The Queen Mary is considered to be haunted too, like certain parts of the
Oh, really?
floor if
Oh,
you
I've heard
sleep
that.
there or
Yeah.
dinner. Yeah. So some people actually goes there during Halloween and experience it and or try to experience it. Yeah, they have Halloween parties in the Queen on the Queen Mary. Yeah.
They have yeah, the like a haunted maze there as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, and let's see what else. Candies. We love candy during
Hmm.
Halloween time. I think
Hmm.
that in America they sell a lot of candy
Hmm.
during Halloween and also Valentine's, but Valentine's may be more chocolate. But
Hmm.
during Halloween, we love, I think there's a specific kind of candy that I heard is very specific to America and it's hard to find anywhere else. It's candy corn. Were you ever
Yeah.
into candy corn?
I love candy corn. I love
Ah,
that.
you
It
see, there
tastes
you
really
go.
good. Yeah.
Okay,
You?
okay.
Do you like that? Yeah,
No,
the
I didn't
candy
care for
corn?
candy corn that much.
Oh
No.
yeah. Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
of
I
course, I
love
had
candy
it as
corn.
a kid. Tell people
Hmm.
what it is then, because since you've eaten more of it and you like it, can you describe it? The
I
shape,
mean
the
the
color,
color,
the flavor?
the shape of it is kind of like a triangle, kind of like a tooth kind of way.
Like a kernel of
It
corn.
Yeah, it's a corn. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the color of it is kind of like yellow with a little bit of orange and brown stripes
Yeah,
and
I
white
remember
tip and
striped. Yes, yes.
yeah, the white tip and it's very sweet. I guess you can say it's not like chewy, but just a little bit, but it's very sweet. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the only thing I can describe. I mean, it's a little chewy, and it's very sweet. It has a really good distinctive taste to it. Yeah,
Is sweet? Is it a little bit tart? Is or just sweet?
it's just sweet, I think. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. Hmm.
And yeah, American kids love candy corn. And how is it sold? Is it sold like in a bag or what is it
Yeah,
like?
it's sold in a packet. I mean, you're not going to buy it in pieces because they're pretty small. They're, like I said, they're probably the size of your tooth, or maybe like you mentioned, a corn. Like,
Yeah, small a
yeah.
kernel, just
So
one
yeah,
kernel of
kernel
corn.
corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they sell it in a bag, and usually a lot of people use this and buy this, and they give this to children that comes for trick or treat. They take a handful and then they put it
Hmm.
in their bucket or trick or treat bucket. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
yeah,
candy
and.
corn, big.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think originally the candy corn was called like chicken feed.
Oh, that
I
didn't
guess
sound
this
as
is like,
good.
I think it was, yeah, it was back in the 1800s. Yeah. It was kind of like, yeah, like you mentioned, a corn kernel, and you either like it or you hate it, but this is your typical Halloween staple. Yeah.
Um, okay, so you know our, our I say our like Americans, our favorite candy bars like Milky Way, Three Musketeer,
Yes.
Almond Joy.
Hmm.
Okay, so those and these are sort of like old fashioned legacy sort of brands too.
Hmm.
Anyway, they I feel like it was Halloween. or for Halloween that they came up with this whole thing called fun size, right? Which is like almost like
Mm,
a just a small 2 bite portion of that normal large candy bar. And
mm-hmm,
so, yeah, so you can't buy those individually. They also come in a bag. So imagine just a candy bar, but that's just like, I don't know, 1/8 the size and packaged in a wrapper. And that's what
mm-hmm,
people hand out for Halloween candy. When you go trick
mm,
or treating, those fun size versions of
mm-hmm,
a popular Halloween candy. I love those.
yeah.
I love those. Like, what's your favorite? Like, those legacy candies. What like Three Musketeers, Snickers?
Yeah,
Which one?
you
Which
just
one do you
said
like?
it. The Three Musketeers. That was my
Uh
go-to. I mean, when you mentioned the Three Musketeers, I really missed that because I don't have that here in Brazil. That is one of
okay.
my favorite, the Three Musketeers. Yeah.
Okay.
What
Okay.
about you? Yeah.
Yeah, Three Musketeers is good.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And also I did like Snickers, and
Mm.
um and maybe was there one with chocolate and almonds? I don't quite remember.
I think
Um
there is. I don't remember what the name of that candy is, but with almonds, no.
Almond
Yeah.
Joy. There we go.
Ah, yes, that's the one, almond joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat any candies with nuts. I try to
Mars.
avoid that. That's why I
Mars
like.
bar.
Yeah, Mars bars, yes. And that's why I like that's why I really like the Three Musketeers because there's no nuts there. Yeah.
Oh, you're not into nuts in your candy.
Yeah,
Okay.
no. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, so I don't remember what's in a Mars
The
bar.
Kisses?
Oh
Huh?
yeah,
Mars bar?
Kisses. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's in a Mars bar?
I think there's peanut. I think there's nut there. I don't know if there's coconut there.
I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
remember
know.
because
I don't
yeah.
remember the Mars bar. Yeah, because
No,
I
I
don't
don't.
buy the Mars bar. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I didn't eat Mars bars very much, so I don't remember. But that is another. So these ones that we're mentioning are all very famous uh, candies
Hmm.
in
Yeah,
America. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, though we have a whole aisle of candies. I mean, you don't even know what to choose from. I mean, they're like unbelievable. The type of choices you get. I mean, some of them is like, really? This is a candy? Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
And what's great is like if you're really into candy, so you wait for the day after Halloween,
Yes.
and it goes on sale like half off or 75% off. So then you can clean up, you can just
Yeah.
get all your candy then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love to do. Yeah. Right after
Okay.
Halloween, you start buying it. I mean, I don't know if you've experienced it, but as a teenager, I think I would, yeah, I might have been working at that time. And we had, Halloween and we'd have kids, people come to our neighborhood and I ran out of chocolates or candies because I would I would use my hand, and my hand is bigger than a lot of the children's hand. So
Uh-huh.
I would give like maybe 4 to 5 candies when I give it to them. And some places they only give you one or two, but I was giving out like 4 or 5, and the word got out in the street, and they say, "Oh, this house they give a lot of candies and blah 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 blah." So I had kids coming to my house and giving this, you know, a whole bunch of candies, and I ran out and these people were just lining up coming into the house and I felt embarrassed, so I started giving money. I started giving
I've
coins,
heard of that.
quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started giving dollar bills, and I think the most I gave was like $5, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh!" And they were like, "Yeah, you literally see people running, coming to my house, and I ran out of money and change because the next thing I had was big bills, like like bigger bills, like $20 and things like that, and I wasn't gonna give $20, so I ended up turning off the light and closing it, and they said, "Oh my gosh, the guy ran out of money," and da 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 da, and they would ring the doorbell, and I would just not answer. And then I'd hear him in the outside saying, "Ah, he ran out of money, or there's no more. Oh, we should have came here earlier, blah, blah, blah." So I don't know if you ever had that experience where you ran out of candy, ran out of, you know, yeah, candy to distribute.
Yes, yes. So yeah, well, that's what people do is they just turn off their outside light,
Hmm. Hmm.
close their blinds, the curtains in their window, and that's it. The end.
Yeah, that was my mistake because I was young. I didn't know any better. I was embarrassed to turn them away. And what I should have done was this, what you just mentioned, just turn off the light when I ran out of candy. But instead, I ended up giving money, because nobody was home. I was just me, and
Mm.
my parents were out. Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Pumpkin. Wait, hold on.
Mhm.
Never mind. I forgot. I forgot.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, some of the places too that's very popular to go to and the haunted houses is like the Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion. I mean, that's something that you would enjoy if you don't like the what is that? Not Scary Farm. You go to Disneyland and they convert that into Halloween. They
Oh
try to
yeah,
mimic
yeah.
the thing like the Not Scary Farm, but
Hmm.
it's more of a fun kind of environment because of children and kids and but it's a nice experience. You go there in Disneyland and experience that Haunted Mansion. It's really nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, let's do one more. How about you like during Halloween time, Americans love like scary TV shows, movies,
Mm. Mhm.
marathons, right? Let's
Mhm.
talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Americans, even when you're there watching on television and everything, you'll find marathons of nothing but scary movies in one channel. The whole night, 24 hours of nothing but scary movie. It's kind of like binge watching, you know. So you watch a lot of old movies and new movies, like, you know, like what Ben mentioned earlier, like Halloween or even like Friday the 13th. These are the older ones. Yeah, I mean, Annabelle horror. What else? Corn, the children of was that Children of the Corn? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So there's a lot of things that you just watch 24 hours. I don't do that, but yeah, this
Yes.
is a big thing. Yeah.
I mean, TV shows also always will have. You guys have probably seen it if you've seen entire American TV shows.
Hmm.
Different. There will always be one episode, maybe for like Christmas themed. There'll be
Hmm.
one for Halloween, or even
Hmm.
a scary theme or something like that. So yeah, Halloween is definitely finds its way into our media as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great that you mentioned that because you know the sitcoms on Halloween they actually have a Halloween based on it. So the sitcoms and even like you go to watch the news, right? You'll actually see news anchors in costumes too. So
Sometimes, yeah,
that's another thing too that's pretty fun to watch. And wherever you
there
drive,
is.
if you're not wearing a costume, you kind of feel like out of place because everyone's pretty much
Yes.
in costumes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a definitely. So in closing, let's just wrap up and say, you know what, Halloween is not an official holiday, okay? It's not like people get the day off from work or anything, but it is of I feel like it's of more importance than a quote official holiday because it's such a cultural phenomenon. It's so socially and culturally important, Halloween. That I mean, look, if you're gonna live in America, you really can't hate on Halloween. I think you know what I mean because Americans love
Yeah.
it so much.
Yeah, and a lot of my students and other people, I'm sure, from around the world, they thought Halloween is actually a holiday, which it's not. It's just a
It's not.
celebration.
Yeah.
It's not a federal holiday. There's no holiday anywhere in the US. We just happen to celebrate it. To
Yes.
them, it feels like a holiday because of how we celebrate it, but actually, it's not even a holiday.
Yeah, it's not actually an official holiday, but it's. I feel like it's loved, and it's of such importance that it even exceeds it being an
Yeah.
official government holiday. So it's a big thing.
Hmm.
Halloween is
Hmm.
definitely one of the biggest days of the year in America. In case you didn't know, 31st of October. But the whole
Hmm.
Halloween season, really, all of October, any of those things that we've talked about in this podcast you'll see in all of October, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
just it's like that's the start of the whole season, even though Halloween's actually on the very last day of October. And in like when you talk about retail stores and imagery and decor, you'll see Halloween decor even for sale in stores, even as early as late August. Yeah, because Americans like to get a head start on their seasonal decorating. So retail
Hmm.
stores they know and they capitalize on this. So you'll see Halloween merchandise available for sale for purchase, um, even in late August, and that's sort of the kickoff. But really, if you start any of this before October, I think it's a bit too early. However, October 1st, it's game on and let's go, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you go to those costume party stores. I mean, before October, like you mentioned, August, you have people buying things up because if you don't, they're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
get sold out. So they're buying
True,
things early. Yeah.
true. Yes, I've noticed that. Like being having lived, outside of the US for the last several years, I noticed that like well, look, they celebrate Christmas here, so I'll just use that as an example.
Hmm.
That, like, for example, people don't really start buying Christmas stuff. I feel like they don't get serious about it until like a couple weeks before Christmas. Whereas in
Hmm.
America, it's
Hmm.
it's like game on the day after Thanksgiving, so the
Yes.
last week of November, so you have a whole
Hmm.
month, to do your
Hmm.
Christmas stuff. Whereas in Europe, I noticed that they don't really get serious about it until like later, like 2 weeks
Hmm.
till Christmas, in terms of even when they open the Christmas markets and stuff. And
Hmm.
I've seen also Halloween not so much, although it is starting to catch on here in Europe, where
Hmm.
because you know how it is, what we do in America, it's sort of the cultural phenomenon, the practices and all that sort of migrates east. That's how it is these days.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've seen a few kids trick or treating. I was living in, and I don't even remember where this was now, but I think it was Italy. They did do some trick or treating. I did notice that, but I mean, it was very brief. I mean, I think I saw a few bands of kids coming by. Maybe it lasted 1 hour, and that was it. But
Hmm.
they are starting to do that. Kids are starting to dress up, and Halloween is a little bit of a thing, a little bit, like it's just starting here, unlike in America where it's like full blown.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so well, that was fun, guys. Happy Halloween. It was really fun having this conversation. I hope that it gave you guys some insight into how we do Halloween in America. So, yeah, thank you for listening, and let's continue the conversation in the comments, guys. We'll talk to you there. All right, Leon, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me. See you, everyone. Ciao.
See you guys later. Bye bye.
Ciao.